everybody, and welcome again to an all-new Bajan with the one and only Lisa G. White, CPDT, that is Certified Professional Dog Trainer out of Barbados. For those of you who don't know, Lisa G. White and I and a group of wonderful admins admin a group on Facebook called Positive Pet Advice, where we like to answer all your comments, questions, concerns, and give you our overall professional opinion. Today we wanted to do a nice little segment, started out, and we want to start highlighting some of our content creators. For those of you who aren't on the group, go join it now, hashtag over there. And basically we have a group of professionals who really just love to share information, answer questions. They have great blogs, great vlogs, great Instagrams. Mr. Michael Nichols, our wonderful content creator that we're going to highlight today, actually has an amazing Instagram. I really love to follow it. So Lisa, why don't you start us out? Give us a little bit on what you're trying to do with this little mini-series here highlighting the content creators, and start your interview.
Well, hi everybody. So my idea behind this is to highlight, as Neil said, not only the content creators, but also the admin. I want that people can get to know the people, the faces behind the names that we see on Facebook and so. So I want to highlight each of the admins so you know who is moderating you, as well as the content creators. A content creator is simply someone that we have invited to freely share their information, their blogs, their training tips, whatever it may be, to help keep the interest and onto the group Positive Pet Advice. But I would like to tell you all a little bit about the group, okay? Lewis Walton and we worked on a previous Facebook group that we were admins on. And then he said, hey, you know what? Let's go. And I have a group existing already. It's very small, but we could do what we want. Louis and I had a similar vision for what we wanted. And he says, come on board, do what you want with it, run it, it's yours. So
Here we are. How many years later? When did that actually
It started, I think, the 14th of October, 2014.
Okay, and
yeah. So we're not even 3 years as yet. Yeah, we're not 3 years as yet.
I have to look at mine.
Yeah. And how it started, I think it was maybe 30 people that he had in the group, and I just instantly started. I went through my my Facebook friends list, and I just started adding people, right? And some people were, hey, what's this? This is a new group that I'm doing. I just added you. If you want to leave, you could leave, but please do stay. I want to get this up and running. And the idea was, Lewis had the name already, Positive Pet Advice. So it was for a wide variety of pets and animals. And it was to help owners, guardians, with whatever questions that they had. Lewis and I had found that a lot of the times these groups are so strict, you could not bring up taboo things. But if you shut people down, they're not going to learn. And I've been on other groups that I've admin to and run where it was like, we are kind of like the middle ground. We want to educate people to move them from using old-fashioned aversive methods to gradually getting them to seeing the light. So that was the whole idea of it. It's a safe place that people can ask no matter seemingly stupid questions. But if you don't know something, right, you want to be free to ask questions. So that's the purpose of it. And also for trainers, behaviorists, other animal trainers to get on board and to help advise people. And we have some wonderful trainers on board that it's like, oh my gosh, Donna Hill replied and she answered and she helped this person and so and so, you know. So it's like, it's really cool that way. They pop in from time to time, you know, and they're,
we have to point out too that we have quite a few really profound dog trainers or
oh yeah,
professionals of different
yes,
ethnicities too. And one of them is sitting right here
mm-hmm.
on camera with us.
Yes.
So thank you, Mr. Michael Nichols,
Oh, it's
for coming and
a pleasure to
joining
be
us.
here. I'm really flattered.
For listening to this little bit of an opening segment here, kind of like so, Mr. Michael Nichols, certified professional dog trainer. How long have you been training?
Professionally for almost 7 years.
Okay.
And as a enthusiastic amateur off and on since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a dog trainer.
Really?
And so, well, he was a breeder shower dog trainer.
Okay.
And not by profession, but those were his passions. And so some of my early memories are hanging out with him in his backyard and working with his Shelties. And I didn't understand at all what was happening. He seemed like a magician to me. You know, he'd whistle one way and the dogs would go this way around the yard and they'd whistle another way. He was really interested in the herding part of it, you know.
Right.
Ah.
And so really early on, I became interested in that. And then I got my first dog when I was 15. His name was Shevik. We had family dogs and stuff before that. Professionally, though, it's been almost 7 years.
Ah. And how did you start? How
I
did you become a professional dog trainer?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I always loved it, and I was really uncomfortable with what dog training meant back then.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the internet, you know, and there weren't very many books around, so I took classes, but I had no idea that there was any other way to do it, like many of us. And
Yes.
so I even remember, you know, asking questions about, well, should maybe, you know, he seems to follow this food around, and then being told, oh no, you must never feed your dog by hand, and this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
eventually I adopted a dog, a bull mastiff, Iggy. Hold on, wait.
I was gonna say, is that Iggy in the portrait?
Iggy's in the portrait behind me.
Oh.
This is Rudy here. But I adopted Iggy and brought him home, and I was really excited about learning how to do positive reinforcement dog training with him. And he immediately, though, scared my wife and scared me. You know, he's a bull mastiff. They can be pretty intimidating dogs. And he, coming from a shelter, maybe didn't have the best background. And so I started calling around, and I heard various things from shock collars to prong collars to return him to just take him in and have him put to sleep. And I didn't really consider any of those to be options. So I went and bought books and looked online and just started. Looking back at it, it was probably really lucky that it went well, but it did. It went really, really well. And, you know, I'm very good at reading and following instructions. And before long, within 6 months or so, he earned his Canine Good Citizen Award, and we started doing therapy dog work next year, and things just went great. It was magical. He was an amazing animal. And in going to classes with him, you know, people started asking me questions, and I realized this is what I always wanted to do. It's just now it's actually fun. So
Yes.
I started, you know, before it wasn't that fun. So I started apprenticing. Yeah, I was really lucky to find people that would let me apprentice with them.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I started. It was a long time interest, and then a special dog, like a lot of us, I think, just sort of forced me into it. He forced my hand.
How old was he when you got him?
4.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Fully grown, not knowing any background. Yeah, that would be scary.
I mean, if you think about it, in that age range, they're not much off of their adolescence period, maybe a year. So if you don't know the background or anything like that, you still have that young dog. You might have a little bit of those hyperactivity issues. You might have some of those aggression issues that want to show their ugly face, but may not actually come out. You know, that's that age range. That's so awesome though that you had a pet and you said, I want to help it, and that's what ultimately helped you become the professional that we know you
Oh
are
yeah,
today.
I mean,
That's so
I'm
beautiful.
fond of saying that Iggy taught me more than I taught him for sure, and he definitely inspired me in ways I never would have guessed. And also, guys, looking back on it, the ways that he scared us would not scare either one of us today.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, today we'd be
Mhm.
like, oh, that's blah, 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 and he's just doing blah, 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 and it's no big deal. But we didn't have that kind of education, my wife or myself. And um, when a dog growls at me now, I just kind of chuckle and go, okay, well, let's figure this out. But at the time, he'd growl, and I'd be like, whoa, this is terrible. And it
Yes.
wasn't. It wasn't. But I didn't know that then. But I did know enough to know that this stuff works. I just wasn't necessarily that good at it yet. And
Mhm.
at least I knew enough, and I knew enough already not to punish him for it. You know, we were just
Right.
sort of trying to figure out how to make him more comfortable. Yeah.
So how did you come up with your business name? I always love to know like why and how and so.
Uh, Early on, I called my business Positive Canine Guidance. I really was not very inspired for names,
Mhm.
and I really wanted something that denoted the scientific approach that I try to take to it. And that just seemed like it really got across what I wanted.
Mhm.
But as time went on, I didn't like the name, and nobody ever referred to it like that. I would call people up and I'd say, hello, this is Michael from Positive Canine Guidance. And they'd say, hey, honey, the dog guy, I was on the phone. So after a while, I changed it to symbiotic dog training because that was sort of another way of talking about science that I felt was important. And that was worse because nobody knows what the word symbiotic means. So people
Yeah.
would talk to me and say, honey, the dog guy's on the phone.
Right.
So after those two failed attempts, I just changed it to the dog guy. That's what everybody called me around town anyway. And at that time, it's changed a little bit, but I live in a pretty tight community, and there's probably 15 or 20 dog trainers around here. But at that time, I was the only male positive reinforcement trainer. And so all the more reason that people would call me the dog guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like it at all. I felt like it sort of, well, honestly, I felt it was sort of demeaning. But as time went on and I got more and more confident and better at what I was doing, names like dog guy or whatever just became amusing to me, and now I embrace it. Sort of like I remember that conversation we had with Neil about where the treat fairy thing came from, because after a
Mhm.
while you get to the point where it's not a, sometimes people call me the treat guy and I'm like, well, that's fine, I'd prefer the science guy, but whatever. The point is it's all working, and I just embrace it now.
Yeah. That's like me. When I first started my business, I named it after my two dogs.
Oh
One
yeah.
was Fire, a Ridgeback, and Storm, my boxer. So Firestorm,
Oh, I like it.
canine. Yeah,
That's
but
beautiful.
like when I would call up the vets or the shelters or so, they would say, "Hey, yeah, it's the dog trainer, Lisa, the dog trainer."
Right.
So it's like, you
Yeah.
know what? Nobody remembered Firestorm K9, and it was the letter K and the number nine
Right.
training.
Right.
And it's so long to type out on a website,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yep.
it's like, when I got a business makeover, I've been so lucky. I won the Association of Professional Dog Trainers Business Makeover, and I
Wow.
in 2013, and this is when I started to cross over or learn about it and everything. And they gave me such wonderful advice, dog tech. I learned so much, and they said, well, yeah, let's change the name, let's get a logo. And it was fantastic information. And
Great.
I would always recommend, if anybody have any issues, they need help in launching their business, maintaining it, go to dog tech. That's a plug. That's a plug for them.
And this
But
is not
you
a
know,
sponsored video, by the way.
yeah,
Sorry, I have to throw
that's
that
true.
in there.
Yeah. So this is why I find it so interesting. I just love to know like why you get names.
Yeah, sure.
So where are you located though?
I'm located in Bellingham, Washington, United States of America. We are 80 miles north of Seattle and 60 or so miles south of Vancouver, British Columbia. So I'm about 25 miles from the Canadian border.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
you're in the devil's armpit. Got it.
That's exactly right, and yes, that's right.
When I
Okay.
lived in the desert in California, almost on the Mexican border, I used to say I lived in the devil's woohoo.
What
And
is that?
bubble.
Sorry, me from Barbados in the Caribbean, I don't understand the reference. The devil's
Okay.
armpit?
So,
Is it all sweaty and stinky?
No,
no,
it's the way. Sorry, go ahead, Neil.
no. Where the way the U.S. goes up into Alaska, there's like this space right here, and he's like in here, so he's in the devil's armpit. Because he's also saying it's really rural and things like that too, so it means there's really not much there but snow and rain.
Oh.
Well, I live in the city, and we have a university here, so it's a small city. But there's really it's a great university, my alma mater here, and but yes, it's
So
a
go
rural.
ahead and give him a shout out. What university is it?
It's Western Washington University,
Very
and
nice.
it's actually a very progressive, wonderful place to live. It's just there weren't that many dog trainers around back then that did things our way, so
Right.
it's changing.
The new way. Not
The new
our
way.
way, just the new way.
Forgive me, yeah.
Well,
I'm-
the thing is,
not
they
correcting you.
say that, this modern dog training is not that modern. It's been around for donkey years. So
I think that's well said. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'd rather say that clicker training, positive reinforcement, that progressive modern dog training has actually been around longer than the shock collar has actually been manufactured.
really?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
interesting.
The librarian research of me.
Yes. So, Michael, what sort of clientele would you say you have, or with your business, what do you mainly teach? What do you mainly focus on?
Things have changed a lot in the last couple of years. I've been incredibly fortunate. I had a strong interest in agility, but I've never been interested in competition in any way. And so I started taking agility equipment and working with my own pets. And I didn't want to offend anybody, so I've never called it agility. I call it obstacle course.
Oh,
Um, and it has been, and we use like Bosu balls and human exercise equipment, um, and it's really taken off. So I have a lot of people taking those classes now. I run 3 of those a week, and they're pretty consistently full. Um, it's completely cooperative. We work with each other. There's no intent of ever competing.
right.
And then outside of that, my whole business is private lessons outside of those specialty classes. Um, and for that, it's about maybe a third of it is fearful inhibition, where the dog is regressive and afraid. And maybe
Oh,
a third of it is fearful aggressive, where the dog is reactive and moving forward. And then about a third of it is just everything, other kinds of issues. And every once in a while, somebody hires me because they don't have time for classes. Um, I do a lot of work with the local humane society, and
oh,
they require classes or lessons for certain kinds of adoptions. And so I get a lot of those where it's kind of setting them up on the right path for their new
Thank
dog.
you for doing that, by the way. There are many trainers out there that don't, and you're willing to work with dogs that are coming out of rescues. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna give you a shout out. Thank you for that, because that's actually really profound and says.
I didn't know that there were people who didn't do that. There are some people who don't do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that should be doing that in their area and they don't.
Well, I mean, I get paid.
Well, exactly. Exactly. But there's a lot of people who won't take that step to. It's almost a big business plan if you think about it, because you're going to someone else that technically has the clientele. So you're not going out trying to get the clientele yourself. You're going to a commercial client who then is providing you with the leads and everything that you need for your clients there and out, or classes or whatever. So it's a big business mentality that a lot of small business owners won't take that step because they're kind of afraid of it.
Well, what I do over here, and I've been offering that since I started my business, which was in 99, I give free training, group training classes to anybody who has adopted a dog, or one private consultation free of cost, or if they want to do private course, then they'll get like a discount. So I try to help because, and I've offered that to all of the shelters, the rescues, you know, so, and I'm pushing that again. I'm really pushing that again, that they have like a little voucher as such. And it's like, well, thank you for adopted a dog. We want to be able to help you and your new dog settle in nicely, start off on the right paw. And these are your options.
I think it's kind of important to point out too that every dog is going to need some level of training.
Yes.
Whether it's something you think you can handle on your own, or it's something you think you might need a little bit of an outside opinion, every dog is going to need training at some point in their life in order to do something. We do it with our own dogs. Being dog trainers, we reinforce our dogs on a regular basis for different things. We're training them. Every dog is going to need training. So if you are going to adopt a dog, guys, understand you are going to have to put in training. So if there's a trainer nearby that's willing to do discount programs or whatever, take advantage of it, or, as Michael said, he works with a rescue that just, do they just funnel them to you, or do they contact you separately?
Well, what the shelter does is, for certain dogs, it's kind of complicated. I've been volunteering there off and on in different ways for years. It's the big shelter in our community. And as time has gone on and I've helped them with different dogs, they just added me to their list of approved trainers.
Right.
So if they're going to adopt out a dog that they know have certain problems, they require it of most of the bully breeds. They require it of all puppies, that they have two private lessons or a class or something. And then they give you a list of local trainers from whom to choose. And, they're screened and they've gotten to know us all. And so I'm just on that list.
Okay.
But we all have our specialties. And so certainly a lot of the dogs that come through there are appropriate for mine. Right. I really try to be a generalist. I don't really want to have specialties, but after you do it for a while, you can't help but sort of have a history of working with certain kinds of dogs.
That's true. So what are your goals for the future in your business? What would you like to achieve?
I think we're getting a little lag.
Don't worry, just talk.
What are some things that you're hoping to achieve with your business, Michael?
Gosh.
Are we lagging again?
Seems so.
Yeah, a little bit.
Bit?
That's a struggle for me right now, because I guess one thing that I'd like to do is I would like to either own or share or lease and share a facility. I love my landlords. I love where I teach now, but I would like to have a bigger place that's more, built for it, or rather remodeled for it. That's a big goal that I have.
Yeah, I would love to do that too.
Lisa, what are some goals for your business?
Okay, I would actually like to do it full time. I haven't as yet, because although I've tried doing, let's say, like on a morning I'm free. So I've been getting some clients, but it's not enough to say, okay, well, maybe let me quit my day job and do it full time, because most people work. And, the problem is it gets like around summer, it gets dark in Barbados by 6:30. And I have a son to come home to. I can't be gallivanting all over the place until late hours. So I would love to have a facility. We don't have snow. We just have dry season, where we're going through it now, and the rainy season, which will start from around June, July. And in the rainy season, some days we would get rain for like 3 days straight. And as you have to keep on postponing classes.
Yeah.
So I would like to have a facility. I would like to be able to do it full time, maybe even do day training, board and train. I'm not too sure about. That is a major responsibility. I find that I'm not sure that I want to do. Like, I've helped a friend of mine. She's had a boarding kennel for years, and on the rare occasion she actually takes holiday, I was going and I was, feeding the dogs, cleaning up all their crap, talking to them, patting them, but I don't know if I want that responsibility, because anything can happen.
Right.
I've heard too many stories. Even my clients, they boarded their dogs, and the bloody dog is climbing up on the fence and fall and break its leg, or they get lost. It's like, I don't know if I want that responsibility, but I'm thinking maybe if I do it, where what I call like the training by the trainer, and the dog is at me, I would only have like 1 or 2 dogs maximum.
Right.
But the thing is, with Barbados, it's so ripe.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are untapped. We have the local dog training club. They do their obedience, they do agility, and then we have the working dog club. They do the protection training, and so. But